Welcome back everyone from our walking meditation. And I'm going to invite everyone to turn on their cameras if they're able. It'd be lovely to see all of your faces. And this is a offering that we're going to co-create. So it'll be nice to have you all present if possible. I'm going to start by asking for 3 volunteers. And I'm looking for folks that can help read through the text of the the chant. So I will put it up on my screen. Jessica, thank you. You'll be first. Deborah, thank you. Second. One more. Anyone? Lynn, thank you. You'll be third. And let me share my screen now so that you can get a sense as to what I am talking about. And here we go. So I have the text here, and the first person will read the first 2 paragraphs. The second person will read the second 2 paragraphs. The third person will read the third 2 paragraphs, and then we'll go back to the first person again, who will read, and then the second and the third. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Is that clear? Okay. Please feel free to begin. Unmute yourself and begin whenever you're ready.
Touching the earth, opening gatha. The one who bows and the one who is bowed to are both by nature empty. Therefore, the communication between them is inexpressibly perfect. Our practice center is the net of Indra, reflecting all Buddhas everywhere. And with my person in front of each Buddha, I go with my whole life for refuge.
Offering light in the 10 directions, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, to whom we bow in gratitude. Teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion, Shakyamuni Buddha, the fully enlightened one, to whom we bow in gratitude.
Cutting through ignorance, awakening our hearts and minds, Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of great understanding, to whom we bow in gratitude. Working mindfully, working joyfully for the sake of all beings, Samanta Bhadra, the Bodhisattva of great action, to whom we bow in gratitude.
Listening deeply, serving begins in countless ways. Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, to whom we bow in gratitude. Fearless and persevering through realms of suffering and darkness, Kshitigarbha, the Bodhisattva of great aspiration, to whom we bow in gratitude.
The mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all. Bodhisattva Gai, Great Mother Earth, precious jewel of the cosmos, to whom we bow in gratitude.
Radiating light in all directions, source of life on earth, Mahavarokana, Tathagata, Great Father, Son, Buddha of infinite light and life, to whom we bow in gratitude. Seed of awakening and loving kindness in children and all beings, Maitreya, the Buddha to be born, to whom we bow in gratitude.
And Deborah, do you want to do the last one?
Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all ancestral teachers to whom we bow in gratitude.
Thank you so much. And I want to congratulate you on doing a pretty good job with all of the Sanskrit names. This one in particular, Kasiti Garba, is one that people often get tangled up on. The H is silent, which helps, so it's not an SH sound. And this one here is a tremendous mouthful. Mahavarokana Tathagata. Mahavarokana Tathagata. I had to say that one many, many times. So this is a call and response chant. So the bold print is one that the leader sings and then everyone joins in and sings the rest. So that's why some of it is emboldened and some of it is not. I'm wondering, just as a first glance, if we were to take these first two paragraphs here, the one who bows and the one who bows to, all the way through to, with my person in front of each Buddha, I go with my whole life for refuge. I'd like to invite just anyone to bow in and talk about the teachings that they're seeing in this, the understanding that they have of just these two first paragraphs. And let me introduce, before we do that, this teaching on the net of Indra. So imagine, if you will, a fisherman's net, fisher person's net, and at every junction of the net where the lines come together, there's a gem. And it's a cut gem, and in that gem is reflected all of the images in all different directions. And so what this is saying is our practice center is like this net, and that what we're reflecting is all of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas throughout time, that they're here with us now, they're part of these teachings, they're part of the connection we have with our ancestors. So that's the idea of the net of Indra. So let's just focus first on these first two paragraphs, and I invite anyone to bow in and just, there's no wrong answers. So just take a moment and share what comes up for you when you read those first two.
This is Dave bowing in. Well, I think the expression of both by nature are empty implies empty of a separate self. So immediately, if we're empty of a separate self, then we intervene. And then that's why we can communicate inexpressibly perfect between each other. We need a little work on the second paragraph, though.
Just like to say, I think you're onto it for this first paragraph. It also resonates that way for me. And this is so eloquently worded that here we are, we think we're sometimes when we bow, we think, oh, we're subservient or we're less than, but this is saying teacher student is of the same, and the ancestor and those who are alive now are of the same stuff, and that it's also declaring the possibility that we can be one with, and we can know at a level that is beyond like thinking mind. We are coming to this place of unification, if you will, with what's happening in our spiritual community. We are coming and being one with our ancestors and communing at a very deep level. So that's what I think about that. Is there anyone that wants to comment on the second one? The second paragraph? Jessica?
Jessica bowing in. Well, Dave knocked the first one out of the park. So the second paragraph, to me, what I'm seeing, our practice center is the net of Indra, reflecting all Buddhas everywhere. I see that as, if we're open to it, like we can find our teaching in everything and everyone. And with my person in front of each Buddha, I go with my whole life for refuge. So saying that everybody and everything that I encounter is Buddha. And with this approach, then I'm on the path. Jessica bowing out.
Thank you. I'll just chime in too on this line. I'll go with my whole life for refuge. And refuge is a word that we see often, and it's about coming to our practice as a safe place, as an island within our own self. There's this understanding that somewhere in this island within ourselves is an unbroken wholeness that we can have access to, and that we're bringing our whole life to it, leaving nothing out. That this isn't about we have to be a certain way, we have to look a certain way, we have to act a certain way. It's not about that. We bring our whole life to these teachings, apply them, see what works, see what doesn't, keep what does, and that this is where we can find that peace. That's what we're looking for when we do that. I'll just go ahead and scroll up here, and we can see several of them here. The next one, I'll just say, brings me a lot of joy. And there's a phrase that's sometimes included in this that's not included in this version: offering light in the 10 directions and throughout the 3 times, it often is said. So you have this image of every single place in the universe and all throughout time, that these teachings, the community, and the Buddha are at work, and what we're doing in this is we're bowing in gratitude, and that makes this whole chant, this whole practice, a gratitude practice. We're waking ourselves up to our spiritual ancestors, and by understanding them through this chant a little bit, by going, we can cultivate in ourselves the fact that there have been people who have embodied these qualities and who have passed these qualities down to us. And in that waking up, we can be grateful that we have these teachings available to us at this point, because the Buddha lived a long time ago, but there's this chain of passing it down. And the Bodhisattvas that are referred to throughout here, they might actually have been truly living beings who we have reason to believe that many of these people named were actually part of the Buddhist community. It was part of the history of what was handed down. Whether or not they were actually manifested, this particular quality perfectly, or whether there's this suggestion that they embodied it well, that remains to be seen. So we don't have to get too hung up on them as being idols or as being literal figures, but holding on to the idea, or holding the idea of a bodhisattva as a source of inspiration, as a source of something particular we can wake up to, something that we also can master or gain skill in. That to me is what much of this is about. So then we start going through the different Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and in many ways those terms are used interchangeably. There is the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, who is the first and the OG of the teachings. And then there's these others that were in his circles. So what do you think about this particular description of Shakyamuni Buddha, this teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion? What is that about?
This is Anne bowing in. That reminds me of something that happened to me this week. And that was my goal, to live in the midst of suffering and confusion. I've had a pinched nerve, and when I walk, it's very difficult to walk. And most of the time, sometimes I can walk okay, but we had stopped at a restaurant, and it was a Buc-ee's, and I went in, and there were just so many people, and they were walking back and forth. And my mind is saying, "You please." In my mind, I wasn't saying that to people. Please move, please move. I'm hurting so bad. I need to get to the restroom. Please move, please move. And everything looked confused. Everything was just chaotic. I got to the restroom, and I sat there, and I went, "Oh my gosh, how many second errors have I shot? I'm suffering over my suffering." And so in that moment, I tuned into just experiencing the pain without any commentary. And as I walked back, everything was different in the store. I mean, there must have been hundreds of people. And I walked, and I said the Buddhist blessing: may all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. And I don't know if they felt it or not, but it all became a symphony of a beautiful humanity. And I was able to walk through without any suffering. I still had the pain, but it wasn't predominant. It wasn't guiding me. And so to me, I was in the midst of suffering and chaos. And then when I went to my very center, just so much of that fell away, like 80% of all that fell away. And I was just in sort of a paradise as I walked to the car. And I told my husband about it. And I had my class reunion this weekend, and I was in charge of it. Somebody came over and talked to me and found out that I was a Buddhist, and they asked me about it. And I said, it's really about, and I'm just simple. I said, it's really being in a calm in the midst of chaos. So if we're in a room, if we're calm, then that really affects the room. And he goes, "That's beautiful." This is Anne bowing out.
Well, we'll just keep moving along, because your contributions and your observations are, as Jessica said, what'd you say, Jessica? Knocking it out of the park, or spot on, or that's right. Cutting through ignorance, awakening our hearts and minds. I have a photograph or a photo for you if I can figure out how to do this, which is just fun. And this is Manjushri. And the Bodhisattva Manjushri is always pictured with a sword. And what I love about, I was looking for an image for you, and they all had the same kind of sense of here's this guy wielding this sword, and look at this expression on their face. It's like, it's not, like we see so much in war, where people are angry or scared or whatever, just complete peace. And so I wanted to share that with you just for fun. And who has something about cutting through ignorance and being Manjushri that they might want to share?
This is Ron bowing in. That's an easy one for me. That describes Thai in Vietnam in his early years. Ron bowing out.
Thank you, Ron. And I'll say that this is one that actually embodying this personally, to cut through our ignorance when we're caught by it, to awaken our own heart and mind, or maybe those around us in a way that is, the key to that, the whole key to that is to understand. And that is the whole practice of deep looking and reflection, and understanding that this is because that is, and this is because that is, and getting rid of the story and the sort of calming down the hatred or the fear or whatever it is, and just letting all of that go, cutting through it, so that we can get to that place of understanding. Because as soon as we understand, all that ignorance is gone, all that fear, anger, delusion of a separate self. So this is a practice of coming into understanding. So that Manjushri must have been quite a dude who I can be inspired by and grateful for. But yes, our teacher Kai is a wonderful example of this. And then there's Samantabhadra, who comes next. And I just want to also point out, what do we have here? We have teaching the way of awareness, cutting through ignorance to develop understanding, working mindfully and joyfully, for great action. We've got these qualities and these elements that are part of our practice. So does anybody have any insight or experience with Samantabhadra this week?
It's Jackie bowing in. Working mindfully, working joyfully for the sake of all beings. I've learned joy the last few years of my life so far, and find that you can do joy anytime. It doesn't make any difference what's going on around you. You can do joy anytime, and it improves the lives of many people, not just yourself. People around you can see that life can be good and happy and joyful. And so I guess for the sake of all beings, I didn't realize that joy was for the sake of all beings, but it certainly makes sense to me that it is. So here's to you and joy. Jackie bowing out.
Yeah. I think it has another element of non-self in it, like you say, Jackie, that it's that the joy and the actions that we commit to, they extend like ripples out. It's not just, this body, it's just out it goes into the universe. Yeah. Listening deeply and serving beings in countless ways, Avalokiteshvara, great compassion. Anyone like to share about Avalokiteshvara and compassion?
I keep bowing in. What I've discovered is oftentimes when I'm really listening deeply to what someone is saying, the meaning of what they say changes for me. Usually when people start out talking, my first instinct is to kind of compare it to what I think. But I find that if I let that go and just listen to what they're saying, I find that it is not only helpful to me, but to the person I'm listening to. It seems like they're surprised that I'm really hearing what they're saying and I'm not judging. I don't even have to respond to what they're saying. I'm just listening and being present in the moment. And I believe that by doing that, it serves many in countless ways. Janaki bowing out.
I do like that there's Samantabhadra who is doing all of this action stuff, and then there's Avalokiteshvara who's also serving beings in countless ways just by listening. So there's kind of the working and doing, and then there's the simple listening. And yeah, that also is a form of helping transformation, helping to bring healing in a very, very deep way. So I like the way that the Avalokiteshvara is there after Samantabhadra, because we don't want to fall in the trap of having to be busy, thinking that we have to do. That listening is a deep service. So I think that's pretty skillful in the way that it's been shared. Ooh, where to go? Okay. So, Kasidi Garba, fearless and persevering through realms of hell and suffering and darkness is another version of this. Realms of hell. I don't know about you, but I've met some of those. Fearless and persevering through realms of hell, suffering, and darkness. This is the Bodhisattva of great aspiration. What is that about?
Janaki bowing in. What it reminds me of is when I think about persevering through realms of suffering and darkness, is when things happen that feel like hell, that if I go within myself and really practice mindful breathing, that it does not feel like it's hell. When I can get to the point where whatever is going on feels like it's overpowering me, that if I just go back to what I know, which is mindful breathing, it feels like I can persevere through whatever it is that is going on. That's what this reminded me of. Janaki bowing out.
This is Dave bowing in. This reminds me of folks who say their faith has been challenged, and some dig deeper as a form of aspiration, and others kind of forget their faith. And I think it's a call, kind of like what Janaki said, is when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and you dig in and get back to the basics. Of course, it's an aspiration because many of us are temporarily sidelined by some realm of suffering and darkness. But if we can sit with it for a while and get over the original insult or emotional load, we can find our way out. And so I like that there's aspiration, great aspiration. Doesn't say you're going to do it, but it's a great aspiration to get yourself through. Dave bowing out.
And I'll just chime in again here too, because I think this particular one is really quite rich. For me, also, what comes up is that we have hell realms all over the place in the world, and we have work for justice, and we have work for peace, and we have work for well-being, planetary well-being, and there's a lot of darkness around those things. There's a lot of suffering. And yet, when we're doing the work for justice to bring healing to those things, to do it fearlessly and to persevere, because we have a deep, clear aspiration for loving kindness and freedom from suffering. So Ksitigarbha is kind of like one of my heroes, because somehow this bodhisattva embodies the ability to go into those places, to touch that suffering, and to not get lost, and to stay clear because of their aspiration for the fact that there is a more beautiful world than our hearts know is possible. So I love everything that people are bringing to this, because it's like, I don't want to sit here and tell you what this is about, because it's so rich, these particular reflections. And then something interesting happens. The text goes into the inanimate. So we've been talking about embodiments, like human embodiments of these qualities. And now we have mother of all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings, which is the Bodhisattva Gaia. And Gaia is a Greek word originally that was picked up again in 1979 with the Gaia hypothesis, or the Gaia principle, that a scientist named Lovelock realized. And this was part of, having people walk on the moon and being able to take the photograph of Earth, the Earth rise, because we've always seen the moon rise, but now there's the Earth rise, that all that we know and all that we've ever, all the stories of our history of life have been on this planet, and this planet is actually a living being. And so this reframing of not inert matter that has all these things that just happen on it, but that the planet itself is self-regulated, that we have these great checks and balances of populations and atmospheres and all of the richness, that we have this mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings nourishing, holding, in healing all. And that is Great Mother Earth. And so why do you think that we've now gone into the inanimate and sort of woken ourselves up to Earth as a bodhisattva? How is that helpful? What does that do?
Is Andrea bowing in? It kind of fits in with when I was studied up on non-self, and Ty was talking about, the flower was also the sun and the earth, and to me it is, this, we only have one planet. And it's in us, we're in it. I really appreciated some of the analogies and some of the descriptions when I was reading through all that, because it just really resonates strongly with me. And so this statement, nourishing, holding, and healing all, it kind of transcends everything for me, as far as I feel like I'm wanting to get closer to Mother Earth, right now. And I don't know if it's just as I get older, I'm getting closer to that. But yeah, it's that was one of the biggest things I took out of studying up, on self and talking about it. How everything, the interbeing and interconnection of everything. We aren't just separate selves. There's a little bit of everything in us, and so yeah. Andrea, about you.
I'll also add that, for a while I was a little stuck on the humanization of Mother Earth, using that term. And I heard Ty give a talk that we don't have to shrink the Earth down into a human in our conceptualization. But also Mother Earth is not a human, right? So we don't have to have it be a spirit or I know that a lot of faith traditions, they'll talk about God as a he, and this embodiment that we're in the likeness of, and all. We don't have to do that, but also because of the true nature of Earth and our interconnection, Earth can be a mother, have those qualities that we recognize as human beings. And yeah, I think that you're onto it, Andrea, that this also is a real invitation for us to come into relationship with the Earth, to bow in gratitude for the thing that has given us and sustained us in life. And then we can begin to feel cradled by all of the things that have been provided to us and how our bodies have evolved to have everything we need right here from Mother Earth. And then we go to Mahavaro Kana Tathagata, Great Father Son. And does anything come up for you with Father Son?
This Jackie bowing in. Yesterday, I walked at Charlestown Landing for about 2 hours, not in the black-topped paths that are there. There's places where you can walk along the marsh area that's not paved. And I was just in such a state of awe and contentment and joy. And the sun shone down and the sky was blue. And there were birds, especially the water birds everywhere, the shorebirds. And just thinking about it now, I just feel that great connection to the earth and the trees and the sun and the water and the birds. It's so nourishing, just so very nourishing to me. Jackie bowing out.
I wrote a book called The Sun, My Heart. And the basic idea was, you remove my heart, I stop. You remove the sun, I stop. So it's not so far away that it is not in us. Which is, Jackie, I think you communicated that perfectly. So seed of awakening and loving kindness in children, and actually, again, there's a word that is not included in this version, children, sprouts, and all beings. Maitreya, the Buddha to be born.
I'll try this one.
Mhm.
Lou bowing in. I really like this one because very often I've been hearing a lot about the ancestors and the continuation from our ancestors. And I love being reminded that the continuation also extends to the younger generation and even the unborn. And I find this, especially when things feel like they're without hope or in a dark moment, I feel really excited and hopeful about these younger generations. I mean, when my son, who is 16, gently reminds me about someone's pronouns and how they need non-conforming pronouns for their dignity, I just think, oh, I'm so grateful that these younger generations can carry the weight of what's going on. And I love the thought of just the potential of the Buddha in these new generations. So anyway, I love this one. Lou bowing out.
This is Dave bowing in. I may be looking at it from the wrong direction, but for those of you that have had children or grandchildren, you remember or realize what falling in love was like. And I think that's a gift that the kids bring, the newborns. They reawaken that possibility in you for love, and by extension, love to other folks. Dave bowing out.
And this is Heather bowing in. I worked with this one for 20 years before I realized that all beings included me. The seed of awakening and loving kindness is also in me. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's very much related to what we say at the opening, our formal opening, when we declare that everyone of every background has the capacity to manifest peace in themselves and peace in the world. You know, we're all able to step on this path. And so it is for me, a carry-on call for hope and for patience for myself and for those around me, because we're all Maitreyas in the works. And I'm just going to let this last one be, because it's very clear, you know, showing the way fearlessly and compassionately. All of our ancestral teachers, we bow in gratitude. I would like to save a little bit of time now for us to actually do this practice, but I just want to, in that last one, I want to just lift up and celebrate the terms fearlessly and compassionately, because We don't know the whole story of what it took to bring these teachings to us down through space and time. And I believe that there was fearlessness and compassion in that act. So I do feel a lot of gratitude about that. So I'm going to come back to, let's see, where are we now? We're here. Yes. So an earth touching can be done in your seat, or you can do it standing and then do full prostrations where you're flat out with your hands. I'll show you. You can stand like this, and when it's time to do a full prostration to touch the earth, you'll just bow down, and either in like a child's pose with your knees up or flat out. And then the last thing you do with your breath is you open up one palm and then the other, and you just in prostration, you just breathe until there's this quick sound of the bell again, and then you rise again and get ready for the second one. You can do it in your seats, which at this time we might want to do. So we'll just listen to the chant, and when it's time to do the prostration, you can go ahead and either touch your seat that you're sitting on or all the way down to the floor and breathe until there's that little half sound, and then you come back up again. Okay. I'm going to stop share for a second because I don't think I turned on the sound. And I do want to have you hear this. So let's get the sound included. All right. So go ahead, and this is a meditation practice. So come into your body, come into your breath, holding all that we've spoken of, and enjoy the chant.
The one who bows and the one who is bowed to.
Oops.
Offering light in the 10 directions. Teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. listening deeply, serving beings in countless ways. Fearless and persevering through realms of suffering and darkness. Mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all. Radiating light in all directions, source of life on earth. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately.
Thank you, everyone. And would you all like me to send out the text and the recording that we looked at tonight, just so you can play with it at home? Okay. Seeing some nods. I'll go ahead and send that out to the Sangha tomorrow. I have not found, there's two more. This recording is very good, except it doesn't have Maitreya in it, the Buddha to be born. And it also, after Thai's passing, there's another couplet honoring our teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. And I have not seen that in writing, and I haven't seen it in a recording yet. So, of course, the first time I heard it, I because there he is, stream of our ancestral teachers. Are there any announcements this evening? We are running late. Sorry about that.
Next week, we're Lynn bowing in. Next week, we will have a Thai video, and stay tuned. I'll send out some information on Sunday to let you know about that.
Thank you.
I have an announcement.
Mhm.
Happy birthday, Jimmy Carter, 99 years old today.
Thank you. Quick announcement. Thanks to everyone who was able to register for the calligraphy event. It filled up very quickly. So we are now at max capacity and starting to talk about when we might repeat it. But that will be happening this Sunday. In special thanks to Jeannie for being the artistic brains and guide behind the effort. So thank you so much. Yeah, I will this evening, just in the spirit of our chanting study, I'm going to sing the Sharing the Merit. So then we will form our closing circle. Reciting the trainings, practicing the way of awareness, gives rise to benefit without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path.